Good afternoon, and welcome back to Living with a Leukodystrophy. I'm your host, Carol Cross, and with me today in the studio is our very special guest, Laura Cross, who will talk with me today in our episode 4 about treatments for leukodystrophies. So, welcome, Laura. How are you doing today? You're fine, good. Okay. Well, thank you again for taking the time out of your day to talk about living with a leukodystrophy. So our topic today, very briefly, is about are there treatments for leukodystrophies? And the very short answer to that question is yes. There are very effective treatments for leukodystrophies. So we are going to qualify and say there are effective treatments, and at the same time saying that, we need to definitely make it clear that there are very few, if any, cures for the leukodystrophies. So there is ongoing research right now, and over the past 2 decades, there has been much research in the area for the leukodystrophies for treatments and cures. So right now, many of the leukodystrophies, the most effective treatment is a bone marrow transplant. And our guest here today, Laura, received a bone marrow transplant for globoid cell leukodystrophy, which is also known as Krabbe disease. But it's one of the many leukodystrophies that we're talking about. So the treatment, the bone marrow transplant, requires an extensive amount of chemotherapy that wipes out the individual's immune system. And then there's simply a transfusion of donated bone marrow, or as in Ms. Cross's case, she did not have donated bone marrow, she had a donated cord blood that they used to infuse into her body for her transplant. So a mom, after she gave birth, donated the blood in the umbilical cord, and there's a bank where it stores these donated cord bloods, and one was a perfect match for Miss Cross, and so they used that in her bone marrow transplant. And Miss Cross, how old were you when you had your transplant?
90.
Okay, so you were very, very young, so you probably don't remember much.
No, none.
Yeah, you don't remember anything about it, which is actually a kind of a blessing for sure. So you were 19 days old, and that gets to the point, it's a really important point about the treatment for leukodystrophies, that the treatment is effective when it's given prior to the symptoms showing up in the individual. So once the symptoms are present, there is an onset of symptoms, the treatment for the leukodystrophies of the bone marrow transplant is not nearly as effective. So it's very important that the diagnosis is made before symptoms show. And that gets us to an even more important point, that because many of the leukodystrophies, the onset of symptoms happen within the first few months of life, it's really important that the leukodystrophies are part of the newborn screening panel for babies that are born. So if the leukodystrophies are present, the ones that have effective treatments are present, are on the newborn screening panel, then those individuals are caught. Their leukodystrophy is caught early enough for the treatment to be effective. Now, Ms. Cross was not caught with newborn screening, but Ms. Cross, her globoid cell leukodystrophy was caught because her brother, Joshua, also had globoid cell leukodystrophy and passed away when he was 2.5. When Joshua died, there was no effective treatment available. So the leukodystrophy, the treatments have come a really long way in the past 2 decades. And so Ms. Cross is here as you can see, that the effective treatment has helped her very much in her quality of life and has really helped her. So newborn screening is really important so that individuals that are born with a leukodystrophy they're diagnosed early so that effective treatment can be given. So the treatment for leukodystrophies is there. We just need to make sure that people are caught early enough to be able to get the treatment. So thank you for joining us today. We hope that was some good information for you about the treatment and that it's available. So thank you for being here, and we'll see you tomorrow. We hope you have a great rest of the weekend. And if your state doesn't screen for the leukodystrophies, we hope that if you ever have a chance to help with advocacy efforts for newborn screening for the leukodystrophies, that you would be sure to support that. Thank you very much, and see you later.
Yeah.